I mean, yeah, this is like a photo of my dad coaching. And my dad coached for like at least like 9 or 10. I mean, he coached for like over 10 years, but he's a head coach for like 9 or 10. That's Eddie. Eddie looked at my dad as a father figure, which we didn't know, but when my dad went to pick him up one time, his household was a little crazy. And he basically said, like, you know, your dad's like a father figure to me. I mean, in this photo, we're the two best, me and Eddie by far. I have a friend who likes to say that I'm like a very needy flower that needs a lot of water and love. And I would kind of agree with that. And I think, like, I'll put it this way. You don't give and you don't give love to get it back. But it does feel good to know that all your giving and all your love and all your care and all the passion you put into everyone in your life isn't in vain when people show up for you like this. On September 20th, I left Chicago to go to the East Coast. My dad, had been battling pancreatic cancer. Over the past year, it had gone, I don't want to say well, but he had gotten in a study and, it had kind of slowed the progression of the cancer. So I found out on the 19th, he had said, because I knew he had scans on Monday, and he basically told me essentially, hey, if these scans don't work, there's no more treatment. I had not known that. So that was kind of like, that kind of hit hard because I was like, what? My parents did a pretty good job of keeping me informed, but they didn't tell me that. So my mom gets the results and doesn't prep me, just texts me a photo of the results. I love you, Mom. And the results are like about as bad as you can get. Wednesday was his birthday. So I got up and I wanted to make his birthday special because I started to think it might be his last birthday. So when I was younger, occasionally he would make me like Pillsbury, like Grand's biscuits. And so I made him biscuits in the morning, like woke him up with that. He really liked it. We got him a strawberry shortcake from this place, Cousin John's, which was a great place and his favorite cake. And we had my mom's friend Pink Susan come over. We had my childhood best friend Alex and his wife and their kids come over. Had some champagne, fruit salad, cake. And then we were gonna have frozen White Castle for dinner, because when I was younger and he was my baseball coach, he'd always take Alex and I to White Castle. After the games, we'd have like hot dogs and then White Castle, and we'd be like in great shape because we were young and we got a ton of exercise. Saturday, we were supposed to go down to DC, so I was there with my dad from Saturday through Wednesday evening alone. So that week until my mom got there, it was like I would go to the gym, I'd work, but I would mainly try to make sure my dad was okay, get him what he needed, make him breakfast, feed him. Then my mom came that Wednesday afternoon, then his friend Bob came in. And he was really worried about him. Like us, he knew he probably didn't have a ton of time. My dad was like locked in on taking a bath. And so he's like, can you help me get out of the bath? Because he was a little weak. So he takes a bath, he gets out, and he's just having trouble breathing. So Bob's like, if we can't get him in hospice, we need to go to the hospital. My dad went to the hospital. They kind of got him stable, but he had like tachycardia, he had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is essentially broken heart disease. Part of that's from sadness and stuff. Monday morning, I think I woke up, because I stayed the first 36 hours. I didn't leave his side. I knew if things took a turn, like my mom had to be there overnight when a lot of the bad stuff happens to make any calls. So I was like, look, this first night they're stabilizing him, I will stay. So I stayed for 36 hours straight. So I go home Monday night, I wake up Tuesday morning at like 7 something, these like frantic texts from my mom and calls, very bad, come now. His tachycardia came back and he like flatlined, and they had to bring him back. And to bring him back, they had to intubate him. So he's now in the ICU, and my dad was intubated and he had the little mitts on because, people try to pull it out, and my dad definitely was the type of person to do that. They had obviously taken the mitts off so he could like write stuff down and communicate with us. My mom had done this really amazing thing where she had kind of pulled her couch next to his bed. So every time he rolled over and tried to get out, he would kick her foot and she'd say, get back to your side of the bed. And he's so confused, saying, oh, okay. So that worked all night. But my dad was smart. The nurse that night, who was really good, left because some emergency was going on in another ICU room. As she left, my mom had turned her body. And in that exact moment, my dad turned and ripped his own tube out. And he was so weak that thankfully he couldn't rip the whole thing out, which was really dangerous. He just popped this little top part. So they took the tube out, telling my mom, this is over, it's over. My dad does so well that by Saturday, he's in a normal room again. All this time too, we're trying to figure out hospice versus palliative care. He was trying to figure it out. We'd kind of gone with hospice. Then he decided he wanted palliative when he learned more, which was fine. And we were basically working to get him out by that Tuesday. My mom had found this apartment. So she goes to see this apartment. She finally goes home for 4 hours or 5 hours. And, I think everything happens for a reason. And when she went home, I got this great Sunday night with my dad. We watched rerun of Jeopardy, PBS NewsHours, 60 Minutes. And then at one point it's let's read, and he loved to read. So we were reading, and he was doing really well. I'm just really grateful because it was just an incredible last night. He was fully there. We were able to talk about stuff. Couldn't talk a lot, he's a little out of breath, but I think that I'm really grateful for that. So I got to spend really good time with him Sunday night, went home. Monday morning, everything's good. Doctors had come in and said, you're doing well. The fluid wasn't reaccumulating. They're ready to get him out of there. They're gonna start the process. So I had noticed that something was wrong. He wasn't able to talk well. And I was are you okay? He's yeah, he couldn't talk much. So I went downstairs because I was worried, and I was calling my ex and calling some friends that knew, and I'm yo, is this okay? He's not breathing well. So this is Monday the 13th, and there was literally palliative was coming in the room to help get him set up to go. The case manager was outside to get him ready to get discharged. This was the last step. I had kind of thought something was up, but also his breathing had just been weird, so I was I don't know. And then, pretty quickly, they got the ICU doctor in there, and they said, essentially, you're probably gonna have to make a decision to re-intubate or let him go, and we can make it peaceful and comfortable. And we knew he had wanted to fight. He didn't want to be taken off full code, which means, if you're full code, they'll try to resuscitate you no matter what, even if they break a rib. But the point is to keep you alive. As long as in his body we're retaining CO2, getting him re-intubated would maybe give him an hour, a couple hours of really bad life. And I kind of knew what the right decision was, but I think my mom struggled with it, and she is up to her. And I think once she heard what was going to happen, we made the choice to decide to just let him go. And, we put on, kind of funny, his favorite public radio jazz show was called G Strings. We kept saying, they're maybe you'll play some of his favorite music. My mom's play G String. And what about G String? And the nurses were what? So we played that, we got to say our goodbyes, and my mom talked to him through it. My mom, my uncle, and myself got to say goodbye. And, first my uncle did, then I did, then my mom did. And then we were in the room together. And I don't know how I knew, but I just knew. They gave him a little morphine, but I just knew, we had been sitting there, and he said he's going to pass in a few hours. I kind of just got the sense that he was about to pass. So I got up, and 2 minutes later, he had passed away. And the nurse, came in to tell us that. And it just was surreal. It was unexpected but expected, and the fact that he was about to get home, because I know he had wanted to pass at home and he had wanted to be in New York because that was really where he lived. My mom was just devastated, as was I, and I, kind of had been holding it in, but I kind of broke down at that point, and I was of all the things that I was upset about, it was that I couldn't get him home, and I had promised to get him home. And for me, when I give someone my word, it's my word is my bond. So I'm damn, and that's what bothered me. So, I was obviously upset. My mom said, let's go up to New York and be surrounded by people we love. And we did that the next day. And just, you know, it was surreal. And just I've gotten such an incredible outpouring of love and support. And we're just going through the process of getting everything set up for his memorial service and the celebration of life, and doing a one-day Shiva, and, you know, writing obituary. It's a lot, you know. I don't know that the reason behind my goal has changed, but I think the motivation has certainly changed. Before it was like it was like redemption and showing people, like doing it for people and showing them that I can do it, they can do it, and being healthy. And, you know, when I was with my dad and I was telling him I'm almost 60 pounds down, it made him really happy. So it's like, I think there's an added element, an added layer of like doing it for my dad, and knowing that no matter what happens, like, you're gonna have to pry me off the course, because what he went through this year, what I'm going to go through on the course ain't shit compared to what he had to go through. So yeah, like, I gotta do it, you know? So I've been staying on my fitness, obviously. I actually have a brand new protein thing to open, Premier Protein. I need to hit 200 grams of protein, and I have to go between 21 and 2200 calories on like a good day. So in the morning, I'm having at least 1 scoop of this, if not 2. Yeah, so I'm having a lot of protein. So I go through protein shakes a lot. Right now I'm just gonna have 1 scoop, but yeah. My mom always makes fun of how fast I chug these. The most important part, cleaning the bottle out so it doesn't stink. But these are easy. You know, my dad was like my coach, right? So my mom was definitely, we call her the stage mama. She was like the push, like, you can't fail, you gotta do this. But, you know, my dad was my coach, and I could tell he was like proud of everything I'm doing. So I know that I need to get it done. And I think for me, it's super important, you know? I don't know how the training's gonna be. I don't know how long I'm gonna be dry, but, you know, we'll get it done. I think there's some times in life when you just gotta roll with the punches. Part of my vision the whole year has been hugging my dad when I get across the finish line. And now I don't have that. And so I'm trying to rework my vision for what that looks like. And honestly, I haven't yet. I have never met someone that simultaneously was unrelenting and standing up for what's right, but also one of like the kindest and gentlest people that I knew. You know, my dad was the best person I've ever met. And there was nothing that he did that I know about that was wrong. There were no vices. There was, you know, and I think I can only strive to be like that. 50 years supporting, entirely faithful to, like, not even a question, right? Doing whatever my mom needed and just being there for her. 38 years of doing everything I needed, giving everything he had to me, and a lifetime of doing what's right. Well, I think 73 is not a long time to be on the earth these days. In his 73 years, he lived, learned, and taught more than most people do in 100. And I mean that. So, Dad, I love you, and Gary won't, you know, never gonna meet someone like him, never gonna meet someone better than him. One of the last things he said to me, well, you know, A, he's like, how do you have so much energy? B, he was like, he was very thankful. And C, he was like, you've been great. And just for him to know that, like, at the end, I was there giving it everything I had, that means a lot. And I'm grateful to my own journey, his teachings, my mom's teachings, my community's teachings, my ancestors' teachings, my family's teachings, for putting me in that position. Because when I look back on it, I can honestly say I did everything I could, and that's not something you can always say. And I think he recognized that, and I hope he did. Yeah, so I love you, Dad.